Hey, I'm Emma. Since the age of 14, I've been sharing my life and healthy recipes over on Instagram, but my lifelong dream has always been to buy a bus to convert it and travel Australia. And at the end of 2021, after high school, despite how academic I was and what everyone thought of me, I decided to put my dream and my happiness first. And after years of working and saving, here I am at age 19 with my Toyota Coaster. So I've decided to document this process because I literally don't know what I'm doing, but I want to inspire you to live, work and travel on your own terms and just figure it out as I go. So make sure to subscribe and join me on this amazing journey. Okay, so today is day one of the bus build and it's pretty self-explanatory. We're just starting by ripping everything out. One thing that we are doing is we're going to use all of these as templates for the plywood. So we're just like labeling them, like this is left-hand side number 3 because it's the third panel. So yeah. So here we started to remove the floor, but we found extremely sticky plywood underneath, so we decided to roll it back because all of the insulation wool would have fallen down and stuck to the floor, and at this point we thought we were going to keep the old floor. So it's the 4th day working in the bus and I'm so stoked because we finally found a way to get rid of all the insulation glue that's left behind, because essentially we took out all of the insulation but it kind of just like ripped off and all of the glue was left, and we tried scraping it off and even used steel wool, but it is rock solid and it's stuck on there so hard. So we tried everything. We were just literally doing that like patch like with our hands and it took hours because we didn't want to damage the metal, otherwise it can lead to rust if you don't rust prevent it. So anyway, I ended up doing some research and I found Digger's Glue Rid and I've tried it yesterday and it works perfect. I think we still might have to apply a little bit of Galvaniser because on some areas it did take off the metal, but on most areas it's been fine. And the only thing is we're gonna have to do more than one layer. So basically you put it on, leave it for 15 minutes and then you can scrape it off, but because there's still insulation stuck, even though we've sanded it down with the steel wool like pretty well, the glue rid kind of is absorbed by that. So we're just doing a few layers and then yeah, a good success because it would just, we would like had no idea what to do and we didn't want to sand it or like scrape it off with like a metal tool because it would just ruin the entire shell of the bus. Yeah. Basically, this is what it looks like, and then we did use a like steel wool to get it down to that, and then from here I'm going to apply the glue rid to get off this stuff, which is the stuff that's impossible to get off. So good.
So this is my side, guys.
No, you can actually film
How perfectly clean that is. And then you go to Emma's side and it's like...
Yeah, I'm not done yet. No. Watch, this is satisfying.
What is that?
Wait, watch. Is it? Wait. What? It's actually satisfying. Oh, it's not that satisfying. It's like...
Mine is so much cleaner. She's been working at it for like 2 hours.
So all Toyota Coasters have these floor heaters and we decided to remove them because they just look horrible and they're unnecessary because it's too hot in Australia and they're super bulky. So my dad did this part because he's an engineer, so he knows what to do. So basically we like unscrewed them and then we disconnected the pipes and my dad made this loop. But later on in this video you'll see that we actually ended up taking the whole heating system out and just like clamping or like looping off the heating pipes and draining the heating liquid, which saves you 5 kilos of weight. And yeah, that's pretty much it. But if you are confused, just comment and I'll get my dad to answer because yeah, he will be able to explain it much better. So we have finished most of the glue rid. So now my little sister is just giving it a wash and then like wiping it down because it has to be pretty clean for the sound deadener. We didn't end up getting like everything off like down to the bare metal, but I think I'm pretty happy with it, and as long as it's clean for the sound deadener to stick, I think it'll be fine. After what felt like weeks of cleaning out the old glue, we finally got to put the sound deadener in. So I bought this from Car Builders. It's super expensive, but honestly it feels really good quality, and pretty much everyone I saw put this in just because it reduces noise when you're driving heaps. It was really easy to install, but it does take a long time, and yeah, it's quite satisfying. But basically it has these little bumps on it, and you have to press it down until you can't see the bumps anymore, and then you've applied it properly, because if you don't apply it properly then it's ineffective. But yeah, and you also don't have to apply it everywhere on the bus, but everywhere you do apply it will help. So I left for an hour, and my sister, she went and did all of it. All of the sides, and then she also did like down here. Luckily she didn't do here, because this is where we're cutting all of the holes for the gas and electricity and water. But here she is. So as you may know, I did a pre-purchase inspection for the bus, and they checked literally everything except they forgot to check the roof, which we only noticed once we took the bus home, and we noticed there was this rust on the roof that we hadn't been told about. Not a big deal, and it's barely any, like, it wouldn't have stopped me from buying the bus, but obviously we do have to treat it because yeah, over time it will get worse. But I first just like pressure washed it, put on some detergent, and then pressure washed it again to get a bit of a clean slate and see where I needed to rust treat everything. Here you can see the rust in a little bit more detail. Again, nothing major, but I just started by using a steel brush to get down as much of the rust as possible. Here's just a little before and after of one little spot. I then applied rust converter to all the spots I had brushed down, which I don't know why they make this stuff brown, because now it looked like my bus had major rust, but anyway. After the rust converter dried, I then painted over the metal galvanizer, because yeah, you have to protect the metal in order to prevent rust again. And I don't know why, but I love painting, so I had so much fun doing this. And yeah, it looked like way worse. Like, the amount I painted looks like I have major rust on the bus, but at least it's all treated now, so it's fine. Once the galvanizer was dry, I then sanded it lightly and then wiped it with the wet cloth, and once that dried I spray painted white over the top. The only thing I recommend is, number one, don't spray paint on a windy day like I did, and number two, do it as soon as the galvanizer has dried. I waited about a week, and all the birds made the roof really dirty, and it made it really hard to clean. So just do this whole thing in like 2 days, not a week. Now back in the bus, we continued to rip off the old floor, and again, like you can see, it was so stuck down, and even my dad couldn't rip it, and the whole thing was covered in glue. So we just were like, we're taking this whole thing out, and thankfully there was only metal in the middle of the bus, because the whole reason why we ripped out this floor, which I'll explain later, is to mount the water tanks, and if it had all been metal that would have been a fail. But anyway, I had to clean off all this old glue with a heat gun, and it was just another pain of my life. Like, everything is so sticky and gluey. The floor itself was stuck down so hard that even when we unscrewed it, it wasn't coming up. So my dad had the genius idea of using a car jack to prop the old floor up, which worked perfectly. So thanks, Dad. And then yeah, I just had to scrape off all of the old stuff as well, which is super annoying, but I think honestly it's just part of it. I'm just showing it because yeah, converting a bus isn't all fun and glamorous. Then here, this is what I was talking about earlier in the video. Instead of clamping the heating system, my dad went and removed the whole thing, which is this pink fluid. It adds up like 5 kilos of weight in your bus, so it's really good to like take it out, because yeah, you do have a weight limit if you want to keep it on a car license. So thank you, Dad. We did leave this little board of plywood left because there's electronics connected to it, so we didn't want to take it out, so I just sanded it because it's full of glue. This is what the bus looks like now. After we ripped up the floor, cleaned everything, not that it looks like it, rust treated the chassis and put galvanizer on it, and now we are ready to move on to the fun stuff. Okay, so today it's January 9th, 2023, and I thought I would sit down and give you an update of where we are at, like what's been done. Yeah, essentially, this part of the bus field, pretty much I feel like all they've done is cleaned and like ripped out old stuff and been covered every day in grease and old glue. So the first thing we did was rip everything out, clean out the old insulation, get rid of all the stuff, and then do the sound deadener. We also did rip out that aircon unit at the front, but we decided to leave it in because, yeah, we're gonna leave that to the end because it's too complicated and we can't take the aircon out either, and it's fine to leave in. We can deal with it at the end, like we don't have to do it now. Like we've decided to build the bus from the back to the front, so that's what we're doing. I then also did the roof because there was a little bit of surface rust kind of scattered everywhere, which I treated and painted over. And quick side note, it looks horrible because the whites don't match, but the solar panel and the deck will be sitting on top of that. So if you're thinking like, what has she done? It looks horrible. It doesn't matter because no one's going to see it in the end. And now where we are at is we are doing the water tanks and the new floor, because essentially originally I wanted to just put the water tanks under the bed, no drama, but I then decided that I want the underneath the bed to be just storage, and obviously the gas is going to be there as well. So we decided to mount the water tanks underneath the bus, and because of that we have taken out the floor, because some people did mount their water tanks under the bus leaving the floor in, but that would have been really hard. So we took out the old floor. It was really sticky and gross anyway. We're mounting the water tanks and then we're going to do the new floor, but I've decided to leave that for the next episode because it's way more complex than I thought it was going to be. So I'll show you that in more detail separately, but that's kind of where we're at. Yeah, all in all, it's been a lot of fun and I've learned a lot. Like I've learned so much already, but the main thing is just it has not been glamorous. Like it's been a lot of hard work and it's been like 30-degree days, going to Bunnings, going back home, just cleaning, being covered in grease, just ripping old things out. But yeah, I'm excited for when we get the walls up and the new floor in, it'll start to look like a proper home on wheels and it'll feel a bit more like we've accomplished something, because yeah, we've been kind of stuck on a lot of things, especially with the water tanks. We've just been really confused, and it's even more frustrating that you just look like you haven't made any progress. But yeah, it's been a lot of fun so far, and yeah, I'm so excited, and I still every day I'm like, how is this real? Like it's so exciting. But yeah, one thing I was gonna say is if you have any questions, please let me know, because yeah, I think I've said this before, but everything I've learned off YouTube. Like even when we've been doing the water tanks, my dad will run inside, open up YouTube and like try to find the videos that we're using to like help get an idea of what we need to do. So if you have any questions, leave a comment and I'll try to answer it as best as I can, because yeah, everyone can do this, but it's definitely really good to have just like a community and just like ask questions, because yeah, so make sure you subscribe. Thank you for watching this episode, and I will hopefully see you in the next one when a bit more exciting stuff is gonna happen.